Hello folks, and welcome to another Richard Head Longbows video, another one of our Zoom chats. As you can see, I'm here with Richard, and this one is more of a somber tone. Not surprisingly, obviously the death of our Queen, our former Queen. We now have a king. Long live the king. As you've probably seen, the rather extensive news of the funeral cortege and the moving of the coffin. The Queen quite rightly has had a lot of guards and ceremonial guards, and of course the police doing a great job in following the coffin and escorting it. One of the groups of people that you may have noticed, and obviously a lot of you have because it's been mentioned quite a lot on the internet, is the Royal Company of Archers, which not a lot of people necessarily knew about. But of course you're now seeing them quite a bit because they're quite unusual, and the reason they're unusual is because they're standing there with their longbows, which is something you don't normally get to see. The Royal Company of Archers are the Queen's, or were the Queen's, but obviously now the King's ceremonial bodyguard in Scotland, and because the Queen passed away in Scotland, that's why you're seeing them quite a lot. A lot of people have been querying and perhaps even arguing about what types of bow that they're using and what they're used for. So, well, we thought we'd clear that up a bit. So I've got Richard here today to let us know a bit more about the Royal Company of Archers and the equipment that they're using.
Well, the equipment, as you're talking about that, is generally a Victorian style longbow. And the bows you've seen them holding as they have paraded are parade bows. They keep them especially for parade. They need them to be straight so that they don't interfere with their bonnet or whatever. They've got a ribbon at the top that you would have seen, which goes through a hole in the horn knock, which traditional Victorian type bows had, and that ribbon holds the string in place. I think they probably also have some thread to hold the string to the bow so it doesn't move around while they're parading, because the last thing they want is to have to keep fiddling with the bow and the string slipping off or whatever. So they're bows generally that they're kept for parade. Some of them won't be shot because once they're shot, they start to take a little bit of a set and that will mess it up. So they tend to keep these just for parades. Some of them are probably bows possibly that we've made or other bowyers have made. Some will be quite old. They'll have been passed down from father to son, grandfather, because a lot of the members of the company are hereditary. So they've been passed down father to son. The membership, you can't just join, you've got to be elected, and membership generally comes from the nobility and the military. I mean, standing on parade, the military, if you've been a high-ranking officer, you know how to stand on parade, and you know how it works, and that's a big plus as far as they are concerned. A lot of them shoot, but some of them don't. I mean, the company was actually formed in 1676, and so an ancient archery society. Then started guarding the sovereign. I think that was the King George IV in 1822. So since then they've been guarding the sovereign. Very ancient society. They do shoot. Not all of them shoot. Some of them just are there because they enjoy the parading and the fact belonging to this very prestigious society. But they do shoot, mainly clout shooting. 180 yards, so they need bows and arrows that will reach that. For quite a few years we've made bows for some members of the company, along with clout arrows. We're often asked to make clout arrows for them, and they shoot 180 yards. Sometimes they'll shoot 200 yards, which is 10 score, 10 times 20. Not too often, and they've got lots of very prestigious prizes that they compete for, some with silver medals attached to them, some with gold medals, and these are very keenly competed for. They used to have in Edinburgh, which is where they're based, in Archers Hall, their own longbow making workshop. And they did employ their own bowyer, and that's all he did. He worked full-time for the company, repairing their bows, sorting out arrows for them. The last bowyer, I think, was Dowson. I've actually got one of his bows, and I used to shoot that when I first started shooting longbow before I started making my own. So I've got one of those somewhere, I think. He was probably the last one. So they tentatively asked me about becoming bowyer, but it wasn't convenient. It didn't go any further than just a vague mention of it. But I did go up to the workshop because although they no longer have a full-time bowyer, they do employ, for want of a better word, a caretaker. He looks after the Archers Hall, arranges dinners, transports all their bows from Archers Hall to Holyrood for the shooting, and does everything really. And they were asking him to do repairs on bows, arrows, etc., but he knew nothing about it. So I was asked to go up to their workshop with him and go through basic repairs, how to refoot arrows, how to put a new pile on, new fletches, stringing bows, and the general stuff that unless you know anything about archery, you haven't got a clue about. So they were expecting him, poor chap, to look after their bows and arrows. So the workshop was still there. It has been demolished since then, I'm afraid. So they obtain their bows from people like myself and other bowyers that are making bows at the moment, and obviously bowyers from the past, and they're still shooting bows made by all sorts of people. Probably some very old Victorian bows that their grandfather shot, and they're still determined to keep on shooting them. So that's a little bit of my connection with them. We do regularly make arrows for them. We may even have a set on order at the moment in the order book for them. They finish clout shooting now. They have quite a short season in the summer, and they shoot in the grounds of Holyrood Palace, and then they shoot indoors. They've got an indoor range, and they shoot. All their arrows have individual cresting on them, so that they've got a log showing which archer has got which coloured painted cresting on the arrows, so they can identify each one, and you can't copy someone else's. So they often have got colours from their coat of arms. We did some for I think it was the Sheriff of Glasgow. Had his colours, and so that's just makes it a little bit more interesting when we're making something up for people. We know that this is a unique item for them to shoot. They shoot 3 arrows at a time, but they are known as a pair. Strangely, I don't know why. So if they ask Royal Company person asks you to make a pair of arrows, they really mean 3 arrows. And the sovereign can ask them to provide a pair of arrows with barbed arrows, they're called, and but they're known as the redendo. Again, I don't know what that word means. No doubt someone can look it up. So, I mean, they're a tremendously historical society. A lot of people don't know much about them. I think they do a certain amount of charitable work as well. So it's just very interesting.
And the sorts of bows that they use, they aren't exclusively a U-bow or
No, some of them depends. I mean, we've made self-U bows for members of the company, and I know some of them shoot self-U bows from U cut by Earl Ulrich over in America, and someone made up bows with his materials. But generally they are shooting bows that any longbow archer would use now, a laminated bow using bamboo, hickory, whatever, and the sort of bow that you would see at any longbow society shoot.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's cleared up a lot of people's queries about the Royal Company. I will put a link in the description box below to their website, so you can go and have a look. And obviously there's a lot of pictures on there that I wouldn't necessarily be putting in this video because they're not mine, so go and have a look at that. And also, rather interestingly, I'll also put the link, there's a video on YouTube of the Royal Company back in the day. It's a Pathé piece of film. I'm not sure exactly when it's from. I'm sure the details are on there. A wonderful black and white footage of them shooting. That's worth having a look at as well. As I say, hopefully that's cleared everything up for you. If you want to know more, do give us a shout, or if you've got some information for us, put it in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe. If you want to help us make more of these videos, then do so. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.